And again, welcome. I'm glad you're here. We get a lot of mountaintop experiences in today's readings, don't we? Has anyone had a mountaintop experience? Yeah? I've had a couple of them. They're amazing, life-changing, and they're few and far between, aren't they? The first one I remember was when I went to a retreat called Happening. Some of you have heard me talk about Happening before. It's like Quest in our diocese. And it's a retreat that's led by teenagers for other teenagers. And they come and hear people talk about living out their faith in ways that matter in their personal lives. And as a senior in high school, I was allowed to go to this retreat and got to hear people talking about God in a way that I had never heard God talked about before. And just the experience of being surrounded by that kind of love and that kind of energy and finding a much more imminent experience of God than I had had previously was really life-changing. And I wanted to go home and tell everyone about it. And I quickly learned that the rest of the world just hadn't changed a bit. And people didn't really want to hear that much about it. Particularly, I'm sure, my family, who got to hear about it over and over and over again. But it's what we do. When we have an exciting experience that changes us, we want to talk about it. And I can only imagine the disciples coming down from the mountain wanting to tell everyone, guess what we just saw? And Jesus says, maybe don't talk about it right away. Take some time to process it. I know you're super excited. Peter, you kind of wanted to set up tents and just stay on the mountaintop. We can't really do that. But what it can do is feed us when we go back down into the valleys below. Those moments of divine encounter that bring us new insight, epiphany moments, those mountaintop experiences, those moments that change us. It can be the birth of a child. Sometimes it's the death of someone close to us. We don't always know how we're going to be changed by these moments. The good ones are the ones that sustain us, that allow us to have hope, peace, joy, as we're walking through the difficult times of our lives. Those moments can be shared and lift others up, as our hope and excitement is contagious. The other one was one you may have heard before, and that was when I was living in Scotland going to school. And one Easter morning, very early before dawn, I got up to do a little mountain climbing, as we do. Thank you. And it was so foggy that the beam of my flashlight didn't even reach my toes, let alone light up a path ahead of me. Thankfully, I had climbed this particular mountain about 3 times before the Easter morning. And so I pretty much just followed the footpath by rote, rather than by other sensory input. Now, if you know much about Celtic lore, there are those thin places at dawn and dusk each day where the sort of air around you feels just alive, electric, where colors are more vibrant, sounds are more acute, everything feels heightened. And in those moments in Celtic legend, those are the moments when you're most likely to encounter the fairy folk, often accompanied by music. And here I was in Scotland, climbing a hill in the fog, hearing music, and I'm like, okay, this is cool. And I kept climbing, and just before the sun crested the horizon, I made it above the fog level. And the music had come from people who were singing in the sunrise for Easter morning. And we had an Easter morning sunrise service there. And it truly was on top of a mountain, kind of mountaintop experience, just surrounded by this sea of clouds below us. And about 12 of us standing there in this brilliant sunlight, having our Easter morning. And those moments, I've carried that obviously with me for a lot of years, same as that moment from happening. Other moments were when each of my children came home, getting to marry my wife. Those moments that fill us with so much life and joy. We need those moments, particularly when our world gets hard, when there are school shootings, when there are natural disasters, when there are human-made disasters. Those moments that give us hope help to carry us through a life that is otherwise sometimes fraught with perils. We hear in our first reading about Moses going up the mountaintop. He had been leading the people of Israel out of Egypt, and they arrived at this mountain where he goes up into God's presence. The people have been just really clinging to Moses' leadership, and without him, they're feeling really lost. And he's up there for 40 days. The mountaintop looks like it's on fire. And he literally went up into this cloud and fire, and they're like, I don't think he's coming back. And then when he does come back, his face is just radiating. And he didn't wait to talk to the people, so all of that exuberance was coming out. And they're like, this is too much. Maybe cover your face a little bit. But it continued to carry him and that people as they continued to wander through the desert. The presence of the divine, they felt it so powerfully amongst themselves with him. It was what brought them hope and brought them together as a people. And that's some of what our stories do. They bring us together. They give us an identity that helps us to know who we are and whose we are, no matter what's happening in our lives and in our world. We come together in this place to be that kind of community where we find strength and hope, where we find each week that we are, at least for a few moments, home together in the presence of God. I hope that feeds us as we leave from this place to carry it with us through the week into a world where oftentimes if we're listening to the news, it's not good. And yet, that story of our faith, of our hope, the light that we carry with us into our world helps to lighten the darkness for others around us as well. This last Sunday of the Epiphany, we celebrate these mountaintop experiences and carry them with us as we're about to go into the wilderness of Lent. We proclaim as many Alleluias on this Sunday as we can to carry us through the next 40 days of none of them. Except, at the dismissal when someone forgets. But this Sunday, as we celebrate, as we remember these stories of hope and light and life that fill us, these moments of epiphany and mountaintop experiences don't end with our scriptures. We live them. And as we share them with others, and as we find that light and life and joy filling us, may we carry it with us to bring light and joy to all of the relationships outside of these doors, to the strangers that we encounter on the street or at the check stand. May people look at us and wonder, what are these shiny people doing here? Bless you. May God bless you richly through the upcoming season of wilderness wandering. May God bless you this day as we celebrate those mountaintop experiences. And I invite you to share those moments with each other at coffee hour today, during the peace. Whether it's today, tomorrow, this week, share with each other. The stories that we share become part of our shared narrative. And each of you is a blessing. Amen.